Welcome to Nobody Told Me. I'm Laura Owens.
And I'm Jan Black. And we are thrilled to welcome our guests on this episode, Magda Newman and her son, Nathaniel, who've written the book Normal, A Mother and Her Beautiful Son. Nathaniel was born with severe Treacher Collins Syndrome, which is a congenital disorder that causes craniofacial deformities. He had 67 surgeries in his first 15 years of life.
But despite the fact that his ears, eyes, cheekbones, and jawbone were not properly formed, Nathaniel's brain and the rest of his body were healthy. Normal is the story of how the Newman family has tackled the extraordinary challenges of Nathaniel's condition with love and resilience. Magda and Nathaniel, thank you both so much for joining us.
Hello. Thank you so much for having us on the show.
Thank you.
Magda, tell us more about what happened the day that Nathaniel was born.
Okay, so I had perfect pregnancy, very healthy pregnancy. I was 24 at the time of Nathaniel's birth. So we were not suspecting anything going wrong. I was expecting to deliver a perfectly healthy child. And as soon as Nathaniel was born, I noticed that something went wrong. I just saw a pure shock on everybody's faces, on my doctors and my husband's, and the nurses in the room. And I knew that something's going on. I wasn't sure what was happening, but I was asking if the baby is alive because I could not hear Nathaniel crying. And they rushed the baby to the little alcoves, like tiny little room, and to the side of the delivery room. And I was able to have a glimpse of Nathaniel's profile. And just by having that quick look at his profile, I knew that the baby is different.
When did you realize he had Treacher Collins Syndrome? How long did it take for that diagnosis?
It took probably a whole entire day. I mean, I was kind of delirious, kind of in shock. I wasn't even ready to see Nathaniel until the next day. I was kind of processing this event. And in that evening, on February 7th, the doctors came with a dated book from the 70s, and there was a picture of someone with Treacher Collins Syndrome, and they said, we think that this is the condition that your child is born with. And I kind of read all about that, and it took me a while to sink it in and process the fact that my son is very different. That was something foreign to me. I've never even knew that condition like that even existed.
What exactly is it, and how common is it?
1 in 50,000 people are born with Treacher Collins Syndrome. So Treacher Collins Syndrome is a genetic condition that affects the bone structure of the face. And the people with Treacher Collins have a severe, in Nathaniel's case, it was pretty severe. I mean, it ranges from mild to severe. So basically, it's a lacking of external ear and ear opening, very small jaw, undeveloped jaw, and very small cheekbones or even a lack of cheekbones, which causes the slanting eyes.
Are there any tests that could have told you that Nathaniel had Treacher Collins Syndrome before he was born?
Nowadays, yes, but Nathaniel was born almost 16 years ago. So back then, I didn't show any signs of, for further testing. I just remember around 6-7 months, I had a sonogram, and I've noticed that the baby's nose looked a little bigger than, to me. I mean, And the doctor kind of said, oh, you are just imagining things. And little did I know, because of the lack of cheekbones, Nathaniel's nose looked bigger. And I found out that he has a Treacher Collins when he was born. And then also the amniotic fluid was building up. And the doctor said that sometimes happens, but still he wasn't concerned about that.
What were your biggest fears about having a child that had some sort of issues, even though, like we mentioned, apparently it is not anything that affects development?
Well, first thing that I saw was Nathaniel's face. That looked so foreign to me. And I was a new mom. And at that moment, I did not even realize that there's so much more than the face. Nathaniel's severity caused him lack of, hearing. he has to have a hearing aid. And then he had lots of breathing problems. His nose was basically useless because there was a solid bone behind the nose, that there was no passageway between nose and the rest of his body. And also that tiny little jaw, his tongue was a normal size, but his jaw wasn't. So he wasn't even able to suck. So the breathing was an issue. He couldn't really fully breathe by mouth because that tongue was filling his whole mouth area, and then he wasn't able to breathe through his nose. So it was a serious concern for us. That's why as soon as we found out that this is the condition that Nathaniel was born with, we tried to find help. And lucky enough, we were in New York City, and my husband called basically everyone he knew in medical field, and someone pointed out there's an NYU Medical Center, and they have actually clinics for people with craniofacial differences. So we called the emergency number, and one of the speech pathologists, Shelly Cohen, happened to listen to her voicemail that night, and she called us back, and we had a transfer. Really, and I remember it was Sunday. So we transferred Nathaniel across town from one hospital to NYU Medical Center.
And then that was the beginning of getting help for him and the beginning of a long journey of these 67 surgeries. And tell us more about what that has been like. And maybe, Nathaniel, you want to jump in here and tell us about the surgeries that you have had.
The surgeries, I had a lot back in the past that I don't remember. Some of them I had during other surgeries, so obviously those were easier, but a lot of the surgeries, they varied. Some were pretty easy. You just go in, have it, and then they send you out in a few hours. Others were more difficult where you have to stay for 1, 2, maybe even more than 2 nights.
So we tried to squeeze few procedures at once so Nathaniel wasn't going to be put under general anesthesia that many times, because there's always a risk. Mm-hmm. So sometimes there was 3 procedures, sometimes there was more. As Nathaniel said, he doesn't remember because he was a baby. He's only 15. He wouldn't say, do you remember the surgery since this big one, right? The last.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you were, I think you said you remember since you were 13 years old, right?
I remember some that were farther back than when I was 13. I think the farthest back was obviously the first one where you had to do the surge. I believe that was when I was what?
The jaw destruction.
Yeah. That was when I was
in kindergarten.
Yeah. I barely remember it, but it was kind of big.
And also we have some pictures that we were able to save. So he sees that, and the memory comes as you see this picture.
Are there many more surgeries planned over the years, or was there ever a final surgery?
Well, I am not sure if there will be a final surgery because everything is progressing so quickly, and there's new technologies that are being developed every year. I think Nathaniel will need one more jaw destruction. So what happens with Treacher Collins, the lower jaw does not grow with the rest of the body. So in Nathaniel's case, the rest of his body keeps growing, but his jaw stays the same. And his jaw was extended when he was 13. So right now he's almost 16. So we are waiting till he reaches maybe when he turns 18 years old, maybe 19, and stops growing. Maybe there will be one more jaw surgery. And then we were also talking about building Nathaniel's cheekbones to protect his eyes. But we'll see what happens. We tried to put some implants in one side of his body, just did not accept that object. So we had to take it out.
We thank you so much for joining us on Nobody Told Me. And we have a question for you to think about. Is there something that interferes with your happiness or is preventing you from achieving your goals? BetterHelp Online Counseling is there for you.
BetterHelp allows you to connect with a professional counselor in a safe and private environment. Get help on your own time and at your own pace. You can schedule secure video or phone sessions, plus chat and text with your therapist.
BetterHelp has 3,000 licensed professional counselors in the U.S. who specialize in depression, stress, anxiety, relationships, sleeping, and trauma, anger, family conflicts, LGBT matters, grief, and self-esteem are just some of the issues you might want to discuss.
And of course, anything you share is completely confidential. And if you're not happy with your counselor for any reason, you can request a new one at any time at no additional charge.
BetterHelp is available worldwide, and you can start communicating by text, chat, phone, or video in under 24 hours. Financial aid is available for those who qualify.
It's secure, convenient, and professional. And best of all, it's a truly affordable option. Nobody Told Me listeners get 10% off their first month with discount code NOBODY.
So why not get started today? Go to betterhelp.com/nobody. Simply fill out a questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get matched with a counselor you'll love.
That's betterhelp.com/nobody.
Nathaniel, we've seen you on 2020, and we've read the book that you and your mother did, and you are a remarkable young man. And I'm wondering how you have dealt with comments from people, from other kids and things like that, in terms of when they've made comments about your appearance. How do you deal with that?
There hasn't really been any comments in a few years lately, but back when there were comments, I say a lot of the time I would just ignore it. Pretty much all the time I ignore it. And she didn't really mean anything to me. There were just people saying rude things, but they probably didn't really understand that what they were saying was rude.
Right.
So, as Nathaniel said, few years, it hasn't been happening for the past few years because of Wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I mean, we are just, our whole community is super grateful to R.G. Palaccio for writing this amazing blue book that literally changed the perspective how craniofacial community is seen in the world. There's so much more acceptance. We clearly see a shift. People are curious, and people would say, "Hey, Nathaniel, you look like a child from the book or movie Wonder." And Nathaniel would say, "Yes, I'm one of many Augies."
Mm-hmm.
So we've noticed that shift, but also, as Nathaniel pointed out, he kind of ignored it, and that is true. And I also remember when he was little, he would just wave to the children, and he would try to engage in some type of activities when they were playing on the playground, or which he would just simply say hello. And there were all different reactions. Not all of the reactions were rude, but some kids were just curious. We are curious. Human beings are curious. So I always try to take that opportunity as a teaching moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To maybe find a parent and say, "Hey, I see that you're looking at Nathaniel. Do you have any questions?" And some children would say yes. And some children said, "I'm scared." And I would say, "Don't be scared. Nathaniel's just different. And I can explain it to you why he is different, why he looks different." And that will be a good conversation starter.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of that moment that I remember. Right, Nathaniel?
Yeah.
You guys have each now become authors yourselves, with both of the books being called Normal. And I'm wondering why you guys chose that name, and what does it even mean to be normal? I've never really been able to figure that out.
That's a great question, actually. So we had help from a professional writer, Hillary Lifton. She did an amazing job capturing our story. And so we did not have a title for quite a bit, right, Nathaniel? We started telling our story, and she would make notes. And I said to Hillary, I'm not sure what the title for those books should be. And then she says, "You know what? You keep saying normal, normal. Why won't we just title the books Normal?" And I said, "Wow, that's a great idea." Because I guess the word normal came up in our conversation many, many times, because I wanted to, from the moment Nathaniel was born, after I digested the fact that Nathaniel is different, I wanted to give him a normal childhood. And for me, normal meant happy, carefree, just like every other kid out there. But on the other hand, I had a child that did not fit into the normal category, right? Normal is something most common, something that we all know, something we all do. So I tried to find a way to have Nathaniel experience all of the things that every normal kid experience out there.
And Nathaniel, how have you felt about having your story be made public? We mentioned that it's been on 2020, and now you have these 2 books out there. How do you feel about making the story public?
I like it a lot. I'm happy that I get to share my story with people, and I hope people learn something from it.
What are your goals for the future? What do you see happening as you're going to turn 16, and what's in store for you after that, after high school?
I really want to be a veterinarian. I want to pursue that as my career when I grow up.
Nathaniel loves animals.
Yeah.
The dogs are mentioned in the books many, many times.
How have they helped in this journey?
They just help me keep my spirits up, just because, their dogs are pretty good at that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Nathaniel had also something to look forward to.
Right.
After each surgery, since we got our Smokey. Smokey is almost 9 now, and he healed faster. He was able to go home sooner because he wanted to see Smokey.
We have dogs as well, and
Yeah.
I know we always look forward to seeing them, and they always brighten our moods as well.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really curious to know how social media has helped or hurt you, Nathaniel. I can imagine it could go both ways, but it's so popular today with teenagers and with young people, and I just would love to know your experience with it.
I'm going to be honest, I obviously make those posts, so I don't really care, how many followers I have.
Nathaniel doesn't really have a social media account. We just opened one on Instagram for him, just to, if anybody wants to see what Nathaniel up to, they can see some pictures of him, and mostly him and his puppies. And we can put some information about our books and where we are going to, have a book event. But Nathaniel he's not really interested in social media, right?
Yeah.
Magda, I'm wondering what advice you would have for other parents of children who have physical or mental challenges. Someone who has a child who is going to have a more difficult journey than the quote normal child.
Great question. First of all, make a peace with the situation that you are in. Find some type of spiritual help, something to get you through hard times, because life is never easy. Mm-hmm. Life has a happy moments, and life has plenty of, moments of worry. And try to be the best parent you can possibly be for your child. Try to make sure that your child loves himself or herself, despite their differences. Because if you love you and you accept who you are, other people see you, right? As a person that you are. Mm-hmm. Don't make your differences define who you are as a person. I tried to tell Nathaniel since he was a little boy, I would say to Nathaniel, when someone is looking at you or staring or makes a comment, people are curious because you're so different. You are unique. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then we are all different as humans, right? We are all different. We have different interests. We look different. And the world is filled with differences.
Our Nobody Told Me conversation continues in just a moment. Much like our extraordinary guests on Nobody Told Me, many Air Medcare Network members have their own inspiring stories to share.
They never thought the unthinkable would actually happen to them. But when it did, they were relieved to have their Air Medcare Network, AMCN, membership.
If a medical emergency arises, Air Medcare Network provides members with world-class air transport services to the nearest appropriate hospital with no out-of-pocket expenses.
More and more, insurance fails to cover the full cost of a medical emergency. Secure protection and financial peace of mind for your entire household by joining Air Medcare Network today. Memberships cost as low as $65 a year and cover 38 states.
Plus, right now, as a Nobody Told Me listener, you'll get a $10 Visa gift card with a new 1-year membership.
Visit airmedcarenetwork.com/nobody and use offer code NOBODY.
Again, for a $10 Visa gift card with a new 1-year membership, just visit airmedcarenetwork.com/nobody and use offer code NOBODY. You both have been so impacted by Treacher Collins, and I'm wondering if either one of you wish that it hadn't impacted your life, or just how you feel about that, because you guys have both been such inspirations. Your whole family has been.
Oh, thank you so much, Nathaniel. Do you have an answer?
Not really, to be honest.
Would you change anything?
I don't think I would change anything. I like everything how it is, and I don't think I would change a thing.
Well, and I would say that I have so much gratitude for everything that I have as a person, because seeing Nathaniel going through multiple surgeries just to be able to perform normal life functions like we all do, like hearing, seeing, breathing, smelling, talking, eating, right? So he had to have surgeries to have it all. And me as a person, I was born with it all. I was given everything. And it made me realize I grew so much as a person to understand that there are people out there that aren't as lucky as I am. They have to have surgeries to be able to have the life that I have, all of those senses. Having Nathaniel, it definitely, brought that perspective for me. I could change the perspective, yeah.
What message would you like to get across to people who have a friend or a family member who, is struggling with, raising a child who is different, or perhaps they themselves are different? What can we do to help?
Well, there is a saying that it takes a village to raise a child, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So find support. It's huge. For me, there was one mom that I was lucky enough to be introduced to. And when Nathaniel was a little baby, and talking to that mom helped me tremendously. I cried from happiness, actually, knowing that my child is going to be okay, despite everything what was going on. Because we had moments that we weren't sure how we're going to survive. How is Nathaniel going to survive? But having someone that went through the same experience and looking at the older child that had same surgeries like my son did, mm-hmm. and he's a happy boy, I mean, that meant so much for me. Literally lift my spirits. And then, if you don't be afraid to ask for that support from your friends, from your family, for your spouse, whoever it is, because this should not be a lonely process. And at the end of the day, with faith and with medical help, everything will be okay.
I'm wondering what advice you both would have for if we see somebody who looks different on the street. I mean, there isn't a class taught, or there isn't protocol that we all follow. And I just wonder if there's some things we should say and some things we shouldn't say.
You should just treat them like another person. If you're really serious about how their condition, I would personally I wouldn't just leave it outside of nowhere on them, because obviously some things might be more sensitive for some people than others, but I say treat them how you would want to be treated. The golden rule.
Yeah. Maybe a smile, right?
Yeah.
And a little wave.
You can't go wrong with that with anybody. That's how we all should treat each other.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to treat everybody with kindness.
Exactly. It seems like Wonder was so great for that, so many of Nathaniel, of your classmates, were able to read that book and develop a greater understanding for your situation and what made you unique and special.
Uh-huh. Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Wonder had tremendous impact on the world.
Our show is called Nobody Told Me, and we always ask our guests, what is your nobody told me lesson in life? What is it that you've had to learn the hard way that nobody told you about, and maybe you kind of wish somebody had warned you about? So I'd like to ask that of both of you. Magda, you want to go first?
Let me think about it for a second.
Okay.
Nobody told me, but you know what? Yes, as you said, we learned it the hard way, but I am not the only one that had some obstacles in my life. I just feel like I took every day as a gift. And I started by living from day to day, and then I was able to look farther And I was able to see the tunnel with the light at the end of the tunnel. And I did have a support because we have each other. We humans have each other, and I learned a lot from that journey. And I learned a lot of gratitude for everything that I have a chance on life. I talk about my cancers in the books as well. And I survived. And you know what? At the end of this journey, I feel like we are thriving. Right, Nathaniel?
Yeah.
Would you say you're happy?
Yes. Definitely. Very happy.
Yeah. Would you change anything if someone told you, I'm going to take your Treacher Collins away?
No, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't change anything.
What is your...
Do you accept your face and do you accept your condition?
No.
Yeah.
Nathaniel, what is your nobody told me lesson?
Nobody told me that all you gotta do to really be happy is live in the moment and just accept what is and to not try to dwell on what will be.
Yeah. Oh, you guys both have such great lessons and so much wisdom. And I'm wondering how people can learn more about the books if they want to hear more about your guys' stories and connect with you guys.
Well, they can purchase the books on Amazon. I'm sure there is HMH, Holton Mifflin House has on their website. They sell the books. And so our books are for anyone who wants to think about what normal means in our society and how and that normal is different for all of us. And we decide what our normal is. It doesn't have to be something the most common because we are different. And our differences, our normal are different for all of us, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we thank you both so much for joining us. This has really been enlightening, and I hope we've been able to help spread the word and inspire some other folks who may be in similar circumstances, maybe not with Treacher Collins, but maybe with another disorder or illness or injury or
going
disability.
through a tough time on their own.
Yeah.
And yeah, you guys are so inspirational. We really, really appreciate both of you being on and sharing your words of wisdom.
Oh, thank you so much for having us on the show. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Our sincere thanks and admiration to Magda and Nathaniel Newman, authors of Normal, A Mother and Her Beautiful Son, and Nathaniel's story for young readers is called Normal, One Kid's Extraordinary Journey. I'm Jan Black.
And I'm Laura Owens.
You're listening to Nobody Told Me. Thank you so much for joining us.